ourselves to be correct with ourselves. We have to select that we are not the cause of another cycle of mayhem for humanity. This time up to now, the mayhem has been with the man. If we get the council wrong, the mayhem will speed and extend into the space. And we cannot do that. I've been asked to explain one thing. Why have we chosen the time? Because it is the time. Because it's the time for man to mature, and in so many ways we shall see how we will mature and how the maturity of us matures the others. We'll see what happens and what will come. So if you are planning to come, please do, because after a point we have to put a stop due to the numbers which are coming in. We will start promoting and advertising across the world in different shows and different presentations to invite people. You do not need to be a member of the Keshe Foundation or ever heard of the Keshe Foundation. But if you want to explore the possibility of bringing peace to man on the basis of the new science and on the basis of changing the course, that's what it is for. We invite the humanity to this conference, not only the Keshe Foundation followers. You want to go on the shows to promote it, start doing it. You want to go to teachings and promote the conference, do it, because that's the only chance we get now to do and bring the change. And in so many ways, from what we've seen, I explained, a number of young rural families are joining the foundation network because they want to see the change for their nations. We've seen a number of princes who have approached the Keshe Foundation in different ways, making the tentative links. We've seen a number of highly influential diplomat politicians who have contacted me in different ways of knowing people we know, that they would like to be part of it. They are not ashamed to be part of it because now they understand the changes that we done. In the meeting, we say understand all as we are, and not we are politicians or world leaders or whatever. The other point which has been important, and we emphasized on the teaching of last time, I've been asked to explain more about what we see with the situation we see with the earthquakes around the world. Our situation and position stands the same, but we see more scientific or more events which supports the correctness of the what we have said there is a possibility to happen. In the past few days, we've seen high activities of volcanic eruption, which is a pre-sign of earthquake has started on the fire ring. Rick, you have a list or link which you can share with us?
Yes, here, just a second.
This is what is released on the internet, so we're just showing what it is and what is being broadcasted. It is on the strange sounds, that's what it says. It's a dramatic increase in volcanic eruptions around the world in February 2006, and nobody knows why. We know the continents are spreading. Would you like to read it, please?
Okay. Um, like you say, dramatic increase in volcanic eruptions around the world in February 2016. Nobody knows why. We are currently experiencing a dramatic increase. And what is going on with all these volcanoes erupting? Are we going to see a big quake hitting somewhere? Things are starting to reach excessive levels. Goes on to show the different days from February 10th down to February 7th, with different parts of the world from Japan, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Indonesia. And the last one was showing here February 10th in Japan, third day of volcanic tremors at Japan's Kirishima. JMA warns of catastrophic eruption. And you can see on the map there's lots of action around the world. And you see what else they have here. There's more on the history of these various volcanoes and eruptions: Guatemala, Peru, Japan, Antarctica, Mexico, India, Mexico, Russia. And there's even an earthquake.
That's enough. Don't go any lower because that's not part of ours. Go back up, please. That is part of the Facebook job.
There's another one I can show here too of Chile, I believe.
You see, if you just go up on the picture up, please. Just let's see the picture with all the red dots on it. Can you go up? Just go down, whatever you call it. Yeah. If you look, most of the red dots eruption sits on exactly around the area of Panama. The separation point between the north and south. If you look at it, it's fully red, literally there. This is the place where the main eruption will come, and this is where we expect between 12 to 20 what I call Richter scale of the earthquake.
And that leads into the next article here that I've been.
No, just wait. Let's explain scientifically. Okay. Just looking at the picture.
Sure.
If you look right across the maximum reds to the other side, where you see part of the Australian North, all the islands, you see the red lines. Yeah, so if you look right across on the same line, you see the eruptions on the other side is the same. So this is a full continental move on the same level. I don't have access. If I can get to, where is, can I have the mouse please? Can I have that mouse please? And the pad. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, then you understand. The eruption is imminent. The earthquake we predicted is imminent. It's just how it's going to take shape. I'm going to take this and go to Annette. I'm going to take line here. If you look here, I'm just showing you. If you look here and look across right, you see here.
Just a second, Mr. Keshe. Yeah, I had my other picture in the way. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
So what you see is the same line of moving, and you see the same line of motion here. All the volcanic eruption sits here. And this is imminent move of the continents. The pressure is even on this side, the move is coming in, and you will see, we expect the earthquake, roughly, we can give you even a time. Because the snap will come and we see exactly what we predicted. All the earthquakes will sit, the majority of it, 100% sure, in a coming time in this area. It is important. This is the area which is going to happen. I better choose a different color that it can be seen.
I've got a better picture, Mr. Keshe, if you want.
Okay, can you go,
Let's
please?
do that.
I was even told today that the... Can you open it up, please? I see some of it. I want the world plan, not part of it. because I want to show you something. We need to see the other side. Okay. Yeah. You see exactly. Open it up. Open it up. No, no. Close it. It's too big. Okay. Now what you see is no, no. Go back. It was almost exactly. Stay there. Stay there. Stay there. You see, it is exactly what we talk and what we see. The earthquakes are following the same pattern as we said. You see here, it's coming in. What color can we use? They use such a thing that we cannot use a color. We can show. Maybe this is the best one. Yeah. Um, Here you see the push which come into Iran on this side. Uh, Maybe I can use this one. It'll be better. Yeah, this is the better one. Okay. We see the push, as we said, coming to Himalaya, and it'll come into Iran. The earthquake in Iran is imminent because the pressure force on this side will come in two ways. You see the line of volcanic eruption sits mainly on this line. Sits over here, which is a separation. Los Angeles will go down in a rapid way through the forces and at the same time what you call tsunamis. There will be a number of earthquakes and tsunamis on this line which will cover itself. This will feed back on the pressures, and as we see here, we've seen the earthquakes sitting on a pattern the way I showed last week. It will complete itself through this direction. Our advice is very direct to the national government, especially the United States government. Prepare yourself for a huge, huge earthquake. Now we see it. This is not our data. This is exactly what it sits and is there. These numbers will add up in the coming days, in the coming weeks, and we see exactly the separation plate is there. Whole thing will move around here because this is going to go that way. As you can see, this will, if I can clean it and I show you the other thing. This is, yes, go back, go down back a bit, a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. That's it. Yep, perfect. That work, we are there. So what you will see is absolute clarity what we're going to get. This shows the pressure. It will move this way. The whole thing will move this way. And that's why we see the volcanic here. And on the same line here. And as we said, it's going to go through southern Europe, which covers here, and joins to the Iran, and the earthquakes here will be massive. Don't forget, the only connection underneath, which is not showing here, is Damavand in Iran. And this will happen very soon. We expect anything around 12 to 20 around this area. We expect something between 8 to 11 to 12 here. And in this area, we'll see massive tsunamis. This is total data. And the thing is, as we've seen it before, when the Chile side went, hit Japan with the tsunami days later, hours later. So we advise, this is our understanding, within a coming short time, we expect a huge losses. And you see it, what I said a couple of weeks ago, now you see it coming up, taking shape. And it's exactly where we said the separation of Panama. We will have ships in the Panama Canal which can't go forth or back. That side will close totally. Panama channels will close for a long time because the whole structure of Panama Canal will collapse. If you are a shippers, stop using this line. This is a very crucial point that will stop. You lose a lot of ships on this channel. And we go back to the olden days, we go around the coast. I have to put this out because, yeah, because the economy of the world are collapsing. There is hardly any trade. At this moment of time, the only trade which is flourishing heavily is arms, and it's only shipped from here to here in North Africa, there. The only massive movement which is done by the military boats is in this area for what they're preparing to start a war here. The Americans, US dollar is not acceptable for exchange, and Chinese are not accepting the promissory notes anymore. So what is happening in reality is Vatican is buying all the promissory notes on the flag of the Belgian government for the Americans just to keep them floating. If you go on the exchange market, if you go on the paper promissory notes, all the American promissory notes which are bought by the Chinese over long term, now is bought through Belgian government, for the American government. It was totally financed by the money from Vatican to support it. It's a false support, because the money comes back in again, just shows the papers are selling and the false economy is established. All the latest papers bought in the exchange market is bought through the government of Belgium for the Americans, which is financed through the back, through Vatican. We explained why Pope travels into these regions quite often. One is in South America, which is a highly Christians. One into part of Christian side of the Africa, where is all the diamond business, and into Philippines and the rest. Because every time Pope, His Excellency travels, there is one diplomatic plane and 6, 7, sometimes 10 cargo planes carrying all the golds back to Vatican. It's a very big lucrative business for the name of God. If you ever see Pope lands, go to your airport and watch how many cargo planes are landing and sitting there. All gets filled up with all your golds and jewelries, and it goes to the Vatican. You pay to God, and God takes it home. And then they finance for the use of it in so many ways. There is somebody, I had to explain, this is a diplomatic meeting very recently, why the last Pope resigned. The last Pope resigned because he transferred most of the assets of the Vatican into the Central Bank of Europe to support Ireland, Portugal, and Greece from bankruptcy, because the central bank wanted a cash guarantee. And the last Pope moved most of the money from Vatican into Central Bank of Bond to support it, and the Vatican people who collected this money for years didn't like it. That's why he resigned. For the movement of the money, and all the powers of the new Vatican Pope is taken off him. He cannot do this anymore. And that's where there's a huge war going on inside Vatican. The ones who want to control and they don't. So now you understand why Pope is gone, because he literally emptied the votes into the hand of the Rothschilds and the Illuminatis, directly into Central Bank of Bond, because the guarantees given to the Catholic nations, don't forget EU is a Catholic council, what had to be guaranteed by the boss. And he guaranteed it, that the economy does not collapse in Europe. So that's why they wouldn't kill him, but they made him to resign. As usual, it was the first time ever Pope resigned. We go back into understanding of what is happening here, and in so many ways, this is going to be the big point. It's not that like a piece of paper, it crack open. It just nudges open, and every nudge here is the last nudge, will pressurize this part, and in that case, pushes pressure tsunamis. Expect huge losses in Philippines, Indonesia, Jakarta area, and the rest. Because you could get hit by earthquakes and the tsunami at the same time. It's a double whammy. You erupt very hard. the coast of Africa here will see huge rises in water. Countries like here, a tiny country like called Gambia will suffer heavily. The total width of the country is about 37, 36 miles. And if the river goes right through it, sits right in the middle of Senegal. We see problems in Nigeria. We see most of the hit in the southern coast of Italy, what do you call it, Spain, France, and England. Because the waters will go, the nudges will push that way too, but the most of the damage will come this way. The pressures will take, as I said, right across. Iran will get hit and the circle will complete. This has to move, that this part has to move, that this part can move. And now this has been unleashed. That's why you see all the volcanic eruptions on the same line. Any questions? Because we're gonna stop with this. A lot of people are getting worried about it, but we see it, we report it, we said it's gonna be what it is, and you see it now, it's getting reported internationally.
Mr. Keshe, what about Indonesia? Indonesia?
All the same.
Imminent.
All the same. We will see the part of the tsunami will hit back. The extent of it is, at this moment of time, whatever doesn't hit Africa on this side, as we saw with the last time, the huge disaster in, what do you call it, in, I think 2005, it came and it literally hit Africa on this side. We're going to see the same thing, but East Africa will have a big whack. If this not go, we're going to get a bigger whack here. Indian subcontinent will be flooded mainly on this part. There is no country which is on the international waters will not be damaged. It's impossibilities. It's a huge move. This will be over next 23, 23, 10, 20 years. It'll be happening gradual, but it will become more rapid and rapid. It's not that this thing is going to fly off. It just nudges, and every nudge opens more and more. We see the establishment of the huge number of huge islands in this area and in this area. New nations will be developed, if you call them nations. Any other question? I still put my losses. I still, and as I said before, I give a very clear indication. The losses here sits about 20 million, easy. The losses in this area, Gulf of Mexico, will sit very, very easy around then 10 to 30 million. And we expect something like 10 million in Iran on its own, and then there will be another 40, 50 million losses in this part altogether. Humanity cannot handle such a big disaster. We'll watch it. The biggest. Just be ready that we're gonna announce most probably today the discovery which is done in the Innovation Center by a brilliant man who is part of the structure, where he saw something else and he's been developing a lot of things with us. Bernie will explain to you. We might have, we think we have, we want you to try it. We have found a way to create generational power. We think, I'll explain you scientifically, and then he will explain to you how to make it. We think we have broken into generation than being a power supply. It's so fresh, we were just even talking about it before we come online. It was, we discussed it with Bernie, and the decision is we go ahead with it, because if we make even a mistake, but we know, we don't think we made a mistake because it's something scientifically, I can explain it. We saw it, but now we can explain it. That allows you to generate power at any point. This piece was missing. So if you are right and you can confirm it or find a way what we say is correct in the coming days, we have got into power generation. The Maghreb systems will become the generators, but it's so fresh that we don't even get to the factory to test it, because it needs to be done in the time of crisis like this. And we share knowledge freely. The minute we know, we teach you what to do. I go through it step by step this morning. It's literally this morning is part of the what we call blueprint. Add this section to the blueprint because it's very, very, very important. Yes. Are there any questions? You see, if you look, the volcanic eruption here is right along the line. Even in Africa, we see the opening. It's an environment there, which is the whole continent is adjusting itself to. It's imminent. I just don't want to say as a scaremongering, but the whole process imminent, and the biggest loss will come in Europe. You will see the explanation very soon.
Someone is asking in the live stream, what part of Iran?
Tehran will be wiped out. Even in Iran circles at the moment that they are seeing it, they are measuring things that they are aware that this thing could happen. In Iran, we have Tehran is built on the south side of what we call Damavand, which is one of the biggest. It's here, sits more or less here. This is the area of Damavand. If you look at it on the Caspian Sea, Tehran sits here. You keep on moving it. When you stop moving it, then I draw it. This is Tehran sits here and Damavand is here. And Tehran is made to build on an accordion basis. So the buildings are on top of each other, they just collapse. That's why we moved here. It feels safe where we are in this area. Because the tsunamis will not reach that much damage. At the same time, the earthquakes are too far to do. But if you look, there is a very, very clear, it will go right through here. We're seeing the position in what do you call it, Italy, and it goes down. I warned, now we see the data, earthquakes, and they're becoming out of control because the whole continent is moving, opening the boxes, and the lava will come right through. The biggest problem will be places like Mexico City, which are sitting on the marshland, on the quickland as they call it. Do you want to reduce it, please? Any questions? I advise there is no place at this moment in the next 10-20 years which we can call safe. Because you got to realize Europe has no food for itself. Europe cannot feed these nations in nationalities or nationals. There is not enough food farming land. The most of the burden of saving humanity for food will go back into the hand of the Russia and China. All the farming lands in Texas and the rest are running out of water. They will come whatever they can support. So it's we don't know. At the moment is this line which is going. It's quite a line. It's just this point is trying to break up. This is our problem. These continents are separating. Yeah, because it's now is opening. It will open very rapidly. And once they open, all these will go up. We'll see volcanic eruption like a firework. The possibility of the air pollution is very high. Very, very high. Very high. The biggest problem sits here with the number of nuclear reactors sitting here. That's our main concern. Yes, that's what you do in space. There are no sunlights in the space. We will travel in dark spaces. This is the job of the Keshe Foundation supporters. Start building. Build as many as you can that you might need it yourself or the others. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go into this section of the, what I call, uh, the energy power supply. And this energy power supply will have a direct effect on what we thought how to make your systems to fly. You will understand when we explain it. Those of you who are in the pattern of making the system, flying system, this knowledge today, if you understand it, will help you a lot to achieve it much faster. The process is, no one, this is what I tell you from the beginning, no one ever blames no one. Do not blame why I did not go, why didn't I move. We have to accept the reality and through the strength of our soul to live with it. Nobody can blame no one. I could have moved. I could have moved my family. I could have moved myself. This is the course of humanity. We have to accept it. But as a Keshe Foundation, one race, one family, we have to be ready that when our family damage, we are there to give unconditionally. And that's why we are pushing so fast with the conference. This is the reason why we are pushing it in such a short notice. We could have arranged it for next October or next September and give a good time to get, is not time for it. There is not that much time. And all the earthquakes, all the volcanoes are all happening. We've seen with Chile. We had another one yesterday or the day before. It sits here because this chap is moving. I still keep my estimates 100 million losses minimum. Maybe more.
Mr. Keshe, there's a question in the live stream which is brings up an interesting idea, which is, let me just get it. Keeps jumping around here on the. Basically, they're talking about if you have 3 maggrav units and place the Earth in the middle and send energy to the Earth to stabilize it, like you might do with a human, do to any human. Is that a way that we might be able to alter the path of the Earth, let's say, or the?
No, it is impossible. This is part of the course of the evolution of the planet. It's a live thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we sit on it doesn't mean it's just a bigger camel or a bigger horse we're sitting on. It's got its own life, it has its own process, it has its own structure. If you look at the structure of a planet, it looks like a bird. A lot of you haven't noticed. If you look at the whole planet, Africa and South America is like the 2 legs. It's just like a dinosaur, it's just like a bird. It's got elongated. So it has its own life. And it's working the way it knows, and we cannot change it. We wish it because we will be safe with it. If you were born 100 years ago, we wouldn't see it. We are here. It's time for us to see the evolution of the change of the separation. There's no choice. There is absolutely no choice. When you sit and look at this picture in front of you, which is building up, you look at the volcanic eruptions in the past 12 months and you compare it in past more or less 10 days, it tells you a lot. Any other question? This is not to create doom and gloom, it's just stating the fact the way I say it, and in past 15 years predicting these things, I've never been wrong, even by timing.
Well, different people are, of course, asking about various areas, whether they have a month in California or not, and
California won't be there. That's the end, that's for sure. The way you know California.
but they're asking, they want to help their family there. Is it weeks or years away? Was one question.
I go more with days. Sometimes depends what you call the days.
Yeah, boy.
There is not enough. We got the problem is when these things go off. We've seen it with Mount Etna in south of Italy. The whole aerospace will come to a standstill, come to a halt because there's so much volcanic. No flight can take place.
Hmm.
And on the other hand, that's why we're trying to push you to produce these mega systems to fly, because there is the only way you can get and reach unless you're on a camel or a donkey. Air, what I call air traffic will come to a halt for months, most probably. So that's why we said people will see each other. How much satellite will be damaged, blocked out? Possibly very little. But in so many ways, we cannot reach each other. It becomes impossibility. And
Yes,
if you have,
there was a volcano that erupted nearby me, I think 20 years ago or so, Mount St. Helens, and
yeah,
it put out so much ash that people had to keep replacing the air filters on their cars because they would stall out from clogging up, and they ran out of air filters, so people couldn't drive, and so on. The things you don't consider normally in that aftermath of that situation.
I was in Sicily a couple of years ago. We were invited by the Keshe Foundation, Sicily people, Italians who were with us, they know. We went to the island. We were there for 2 days. We were their guests, and we checked in at the airport. And just before we board, they said, "Sorry, Mount Etna start spewing." And I said to my son, "We gotta find a way out, because if he goes, there is nothing to go out with. The trains will not go, the boats will not go. We asked for if we could get a helicopter. No, even the police does not fly. It's total grounded." And I said to my son, "If it's your time, your time. You can't do anything because we can't even get out of this island. Because nothing will fly, nothing will move." You have to understand the repetition of this thing going on. It's just it's so repetitive. It just carries on. You get hit from one volcanic eruption to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. We see it. Sorry about this. It's our time. I'm at much risk as the whole lot of you, but it's the reality. If it comes, we still keep communications going. When it happens, we still run a SOS through the Keshe Foundation. But this is what we see. This is my personal opinion, and what I predicted even 2 weeks ago. Now we see is coming in. I'm usually good in guessing it, but the knowledge I have. But you got to understand, we have the message from a different direction. You see,
Well, there's a comment in the chat that's sort of pertinent. Peter says, we can't do anything regarding to earthquakes, but we can build magravs and interacting systems. So please teach us that. And
you have, this is what you are doing, this is what the teams are doing. The teaching is going on around the clock, around the world.
so, yeah, right. He does have a question. What is the purpose of the changed direction of the plasma flow within the coils? Maybe only for the health system. Does this also apply for the magravs now or in the future, and so on?
Yes, it does. Depends what you can do. It doesn't change much if you go positive or negative. We try to explain a lot of things today on the teaching side, but we had, this is important that we had to explain this. By the way, I've just received a note. Happy birthday, Renan. It's his birthday today, apparently.
Thank you,
Have
sir.
one wonderful day with your family. The problem is how we can limit this. There is no limitation. My biggest concern is here. Because if this collapses, the economy of the world will collapse. American will not have no credibility. I think there will be no credibility because they lose the biggest industrial section of theirs. As I said to the other judge, the other teaching, US should start withdrawing all its military from all over the world to get ready for this. We don't have enough to support. I know I'm going to get another whack from President Obama, give me another, what do you call it, presidential decree. But we had 2 of it from him, so as he's listening, your Excellency, make a move for your nation. I know you're a listener. Any other question? You know, this morning I was walking into the lunch, just watched the breakfast, sorry, just, it was a news flash. They are spending billions and billions to be re-elected, to rob more in America. I think that money should go towards this movement. I wonder if people care who's the leader when the earthquake comes. Anything else? Any